point in our career. So how fast we are in adapting, changing. So that's where I took each lesson more dots, so grow knowledge. So getting back to your question about time, so I was interviewing Carol Roberts. She's Chief Financial Officer at International Paper, a $25 billion company headquartered in Memphis. And she started her career as an associate engineer in a small paper mill in Alabama, and then she moved up to New York, and from engineering she moved to production. Then she came to Memphis as Vice President of Human Development, and that's where she came to FedEx, and I ran into her when I was doing leadership training at FedEx, and we became friends, and now she's CFO. And I said, Carol, with all the responsibilities you have, how do you find time to think? Because you have been successful in all the positions you've been in. And she said, Madan, I love to run, and 4 or 5 days a week. So even before I come to work, so it is when I'm running and it is longer on the weekend, that's when I do my best thinking. I'm just running, I'm not thinking about anything, and then boom, some dots will connect and, about work. And second thing I do is when I come to office, and of course there is a demand on her calendar, she tells her secretary that for the first 30 minutes, don't schedule any meeting. I read Wall Street Journal and New York Times. So I'm getting an idea of the bigger picture of what is happening out in the world at large, since we are a global company. So it is making in your schedule that, and the same thing, Gail Rose, she's one of the community leader in town, and she has her own company as well. And she said, Madan, I like to meditate, and, that puts the whole day at ease for me. And then she's a big supporter of the Memphis Symphony. So whether it is music or interest, so I sort of combine that, when you are taking time out for yourself, you are not shortchanging your career. And I know especially women, because I do a half-a-day workshop at Kellogg on leading a balanced life. Maybe that can be a topic on one of your next conversation. So I tell them that people say, Madan, I want best of both worlds. I want a successful career, and I want a, family life. But the world of work says, give me 16 hours, and the whole damn thing breaks down. I say, let's talk about it. What do we get paid for? Those of us who are in the professional world or the managerial rank, we get paid for ideas. And so the ideas are a stressed mind is not in a creative mode. A stressed mind is in a survival mode. So
that's so true. So true.
All these unmet life needs do not go away. They create conflict within. We know I should be taking more time for my spouse or children, or for myself, just soaking myself in the bathtub or painting the nail. You are unleashing your creative potential because two things are happening. One is, your mind is at rest and it has time to connect dots. Secondly, when you are pursuing your interests and hobbies, you are developing these more dots. And your imaginative side, when you're playing with children, that's when your creativity, imagination. So that's my next project is to combine wellness and creativity are two sides of the same coin. That, taking time out. So it is giving yourself permission to do that and not feeling guilty.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head. Because, if you're talking about women, you're talking about, feeling guilty. You're at work, you feel guilty you're not with your family, or your family, you feel guilty you're not, not doing your work. And I think some of the examples you gave are great because I love to run as well. And I find that that's one of the few times where I'm not running a million things through my head. I'm just out looking at my surroundings and saying, oh wow, my left foot hurts or my right foot hurts or something. I'm not thinking about deliberately trying to solve issues. And it's helpful. Sometimes when I'm driving in the car, and I'm not connected to anything really, I find that the driving time also fosters creativity for me. And I think for everyone, as you said, it's very different. And we need to find what that is, right? We need to find what that is for each of us.
Exactly. I'll just give one last example for nature. I mean, to me, the beauty of living in this country is all the beautiful state parks and the national park. And So that's where my vacations are. So University of Michigan did a study. They had a group of students walk through an urban environment for a half-hour walk, and another group of students walked through in a nature, in a leafy area. And then they did a test and found that the people who were out in the nature, were more creative in looking at the problems and, what they were given. So it is, that second thing you look in the nature is that all the apples are in the tiny apple seed, where the tree grows. So everything to be creative is within ourselves. So we need to trust ourselves that, yes, I have all the imagination and the knowledge there, and just trust the process that if I'm creating these conditions, the mind is going to generate creative ideas. That's what nature designed it to do. So you are right. When I was interviewing another, she said, Madan, we women will be on the deathbed and somebody will say, can you do this for me? We'll get up and do it. But taking time for ourselves, we feel guilty. So it is giving yourself permission to say that when I'm taking time out for myself, I'm really not shortchanging my family. I'm a better person to be around at work.
Right.
And at home.
Well, I think we've heard that. I think we've heard that we need to take better care of ourselves, and we end up being better, better in our relationships with our family, and certainly we have more energy at work. It affects our well-being. But the point that you brought up today, I think, is another one that's very important for my listeners, and that is that it's also really good for your career because it gives you that time and space to think in a much more creative way than you would when you are, running and doing all the time. And that time and that creativity can really differentiate you in the workplace.
Because that's what the bosses are looking for. We are not hourly workers, otherwise we'll be paid by the hour, So the bosses are looking for, who walks in my office and say, what if, Martha, we look at it this way, what if? And that is the key. So once you recognize that is the key to your success, and when you are having your review or even just looking at personally, these are the ideas I came up in the last month or last 6 months. And that's what drives the company and your career forward.
So I think here's a tip. I think we should all take a little Post-it or something and write "what if" with a big question mark on it.
Exactly.
To remind us to approach our work and approach our business in an innovative way. And Madan, I really want to thank you so much for joining me on the show today. This has been just great, and I think there have been a lot of valuable tips for my listeners today. For more information about Madan, please visit his website. Again, it's www.innovationculture.com. And his book is Creativity and Innovation, 9 Lessons from Nature for Enterprise Growth and Career Success. Madan, thank you again for being on the show.
My pleasure.
Next week's show will offer you lots of great information on how to frame your conversations and build influence and trust, which is essential for you to get promoted, for you to sell your ideas in the organization. And we're going to take this from a whole different approach, and that is through brain science and what we have learned from neuroscience about how to influence others. My guest is Judith Glaser, author of Conversational Intelligence. So stay tuned for that next week. Till next week, this is Bonnie Marcus.
Have a question for Bonnie and want to be on the next GPS Your Career show? Drop us a line via instant feedback at bmajor.org. GPS Your Career is brought to you by Women's Success Coaching and is produced by Major Radio for Clear Channels, iHeartRadio, and bmajor.org.
Are you looking for a dynamic speaker? Someone who can really get the troops going? Well, Bonnie has customized corporate programs to support women's leadership efforts in the workplace. Programs are designed to align with the specific goals and needs of the organization and are often initially delivered with a live workshop and then 6 months of follow-up virtual or live group coaching support. Bonnie will cover GPS Your Career, navigate your path to career success, the Smart Woman's Guide to Authentic, Confident Leadership, strategic networking, building critical workplace relationships that count, the politics of promotion, what it takes to get ahead and stay ahead in today's workplace. To discuss how Bonnie can best support your organization's leadership initiatives, call 774-563-8176 or email info@thepoliticsofpromotion.com.
Want to help keep great programs like Jane Wilkins Michaels better than before? GPS Your Career with Bonnie Marcus and Lori Houston's News from the Heart on the air and helping others like you? Visit BeMajor.org to find out how your small donation can make major things happen. Thank you for listening.